Hello YouTube, StuckInAPool here with some more Fire Emblem Heroes stuff for you. First of all, I want to apologize for not having released anything in a little while. Work's left me a bit more tired than usual lately. But anyway, to the point of the video, Arena season just ended and a new one just started today with all the new heroes. That means I've got a video today all about the quick and fairly easy builds that you can throw on one of these heroes in a hurry if you just need a bonus unit for your Arena team. As always, I won't talk about the newest units because A, some people choose to skip banners and save their orbs and don't even really want the new units that much, or B, some people just have horrendous luck and aren't able to get any of the new units. I also won't discuss the Asker character just because that would get a little bit redundant over time. I may at some point just do a video about the three of them. It would be kind of silly to just keep talking about them over and over again, but anyway. So for this Arena season, your bonus heroes are Arvis, Xander, Hinoka, Kagero, and Deirdre, along with Legendary Ephraim, the new Crom, the two Morgans, and Anna. But of course, we won't be talking about those five. Again, these are just suggestions for builds based on my experience and from fiddling around with various builds on the unit builder. I'll do one cheap build and one more expensive build, but you can always substitute out skills for similar ones to meet kind of a middle ground. For example, I may put attack +3 on one build for the sake of it being fairly easy to obtain skill, when honestly death blow is going to be the better option so long as you have it. So we'll start with our Grand Hero Battle units. So first we have Arvis. Now Arvis is good if you need a counter to green and red magic units, and most just low resistance units. He's good if you need a pseudo support unit that can easily pass out small heals thanks to his healing ring on his B slot. Or he's also good if you just need a debuff bot capable of running a ploy on all 4 stats. So he's a really good support in that aspect. So looking at our first build, his tome plus defense ploy means he can hit every stat except for speed. Art and Sacrifice along with his recovering lets him be that pseudo healer like I mentioned. Growing Flame isn't really ideal, but it will help your arena score if you don't want to switch it out for something a little better like Iceberg. Resistance +3 will help him to tank magic units and get off ploys a little more easily, but if you have it, Fury would bump up his speed to a healthier number and help him do a little more damage by helping his attack. The seal is flexible, but I figured an ally buff would fit him well as a support-oriented unit. And as for build 2, it's really not much different. Like I said, we give him Iceberg and Fury. Like I mentioned, they're pretty good options. Recovering will help offset the Fury recoil damage, so that's good. And then by giving him Speed Ploy and the Defense Ploy Seal, like I said, he can debuff all 4 stats as long as he has the res for it, which he usually will. So our next unit is Xander. Now Xander's good if you need a counter to axes, kind of swords, and daggers, and kind of bows. So he's also good if you need a strong physical tank with solid damage and built-in distant counter, or if you just need a horse unit to help with team mobility or to provide or get cavalry buffs if you're running an Emblem team. So for build 1, having built-in distant counter on his sword is nice, but I would still kind of focus on building him as a physical tank because his resistance is like irredeemable and his speed is honestly pretty bad too. The reposition is a natural choice for cavalry units, especially defensive ones like him. Bonfire is fitting with his high defense, so that's just kind of an easy choice. Defense +3 is a cheap option, but you can go with Steady Stance. Distant counter and his high defense make him a good enemy phase unit. That being said, Quicker Post is a natural fit as well. Threat and Attack is certainly not necessary, especially if you'd rather run a buff like Hone Speed or Resistance Tactic or something like that. For his seal, I went with Close Defense here because even though he has distant counter, I think he would rather be fighting melee units. Being a defense tank, I feel like he's going to come across more melee units that he would want to take hits from than ranged units. But distant defense is honestly an okay choice too. So our other build, kind of like Arvis, this build is almost exactly the same. Like I said, Steady Stance is a bit more expensive, but overall the best choice since he is such an enemy phase oriented unit. For the C skill, Threat and Defense is also really flexible, but it could be a buff instead. I'm partial to for him, running a Threat and Attack and a healing skill special like Soul or Noontime combo, but honestly that's not very effective in this meta and he would probably end up dying, so I don't know. I think it's a neat idea to just throw him out there with a Threat and Attack or Attack Smoke and something to keep himself topped off and just keep fighting forever, but anyway, that's kind of silly. Moving on to our next unit, we have Hinoka. So Hinoka is good if you need a counter to red units, capable of handling pretty much most low defense units since her offenses are pretty good. She's good if you need a flyer to help ferry your low movement units around, and she's a good addition to a Fire Emblem team between her flyer buffs and her unique weapon refinement. She's always a good option for that. So looking at our first build, since her speed isn't too great, this build is just going to take her normal Brave Lance build and then just pump up her attack as high as possible. Reposition's always good on flyers, so we'll give her that. Blazing Wind, again, it's not a very optimal skill, but it will help with scores. Moonbow or Glimmer are also good picks here. Attack +3 is the cheap option, but obviously Death Blow is the best. Dragback is, in my opinion, just as good as Hit and Run. Either one will help her retreat to safety after engaging. Her native Hone Flyers is certainly good, but could easily be switched out for buffs or threatens or things of that nature. Attack +3 is probably the best options for Brave builds such as this one in the Seal slot. And looking at our second build, her unique weapon is good if you feel like investing a bit more, as long as she has some infantry or flyer allies. It'll help her score a bit better, and it can be refined for a small stat boost. Moonbow is always a good special, so we'll give her that. Fury will help beef up her offensive stats and put her in an okay place tank if she needs to. Dragback is still good, as is Hit and Run, but something like Renewal would also be good in the slot. Honestly, the B slot's pretty flexible. Then the C slot, Home Flyers is honestly a bit more valuable here since she's going to want more flyer allies, thanks to her Spear special effect. As for the Seal, it's pretty flexible, but overall I think she would really like a speed boost with this build. Looking at our next unit, we have Kagero. Kagero is good if you need a counter to pretty much all infantry units, particularly lower defense ones, like especially mages. She does pretty well against mages because her resistance is actually okay. And she's good if you need a decent debuffer. I mean, pretty much all dagger units are good at running debuff skills, like especially in tandem with their weapons. Hers obviously doesn't have the big smoke debuff like some of the other ones have, but it's okay, and you can always switch out her weapon. So looking at our first build, this build relies on her Poison Dagger and her high attack to basically just one-hit KO infantry where she can. Her speed's okay, but she'll often have trouble doubling without a lot of help. Reposition, as I said, always good, but flexible here. As a high attack unit, mostly wanting to fight lower defense units, Glimmer is going to be a good choice for her. Attack +3 is an okay cheap pick, but Death Blow or Fierce Stance are probably best depending on what you want her to do. Like I said, she can kind of tank mages, so running an enemy phase kind of mage bait build wouldn't be too bad on her. The Vantage and Threaten defense combo, along with a likely Glimmer proc, means she can eliminate units that will attack her on enemy phase after she initiates. And if you put Savage Blow on her, that will help to chip down those units even more so. But honestly, if you're worried about that initial engagement, then I would just go with Attack +3 here instead. Looking at our second build, this build is pretty similar. It pretty much dumps her resistance tanking ability to be more of a glass cannon, thanks to Life and Death. Cancel Affinity isn't necessary, but it will help against those Raven Tomes. If not Cancel Affinity, a breaker would be good, like Sword Breaker or something else that you would commonly have to deal with. And our last unit is Deirdre. She's good if you need a counter to blue and green mages as well as dragons, although the Lightning Breath changes makes this a bit harder on her if she's not able to kill them in one hit. She's also good just in general if you need a magical tank. And she's good if you need an answer to emblem buffs if you're not running like a ploy, since her tome will cancel them out. So looking at our first build, this maxes out her res tanking and her ploying. Divine Naga will help against those emblem mages or blade tomes that are well buffed. She comes with Ardent Sacrifice. While it doesn't really synergize with her kit, it isn't really necessary to change out, but she could use Reposition or Drawback. Iceberg is a natural choice for her high res. Resistance +3 is the cheap option. Personally, I wouldn't use Furry just because I don't like it with Quicker Post, but likely she'd be out of Quicker Post range after taking a hit anyway, unless she's fighting a blue mage, so really Fury's okay here. Her native Speed Ploy is a great option for helping her to prevent getting doubled on enemy phase, and it can actually help her double some slow units. Attack Ploy is just a natural choice for her to help her not get hit as hard. Honestly, both ploys should be pretty easy to use as long as she has a res boost of some sort, especially. Fortress Resistance is okay, but honestly I wouldn't use it with her, basically just because it'll hurt her matchups against dragons, especially ones running Lightning Breath, which is most of them, since honestly she wants to really one-hit KO them. Otherwise, like, mostly they're going to be running Quicker Post, so if she doesn't one-hit KO them and she can't double them, then she'll probably just die. So lowering her attack is bad in that aspect. So looking at our second build, pretty much exactly the same. I did something kind of goofy because I couldn't honestly think of a better A skill. And like I said, I personally wouldn't want to give her Fury, but So basically the whole premise behind this is it's kind of a dual phase thing. Basically she can tank a mage pretty well still and hopefully kill them thanks to quick riposte. After this, if she takes enough damage, which she more than likely will, she'll probably be in brazen range, and this will make her more of a player phase threat, so we give her brazen attack speed. The big boost there will help her to take out the lower res and kind of slower units, and hopefully the attack boost will help her to one-hit KO dragons, so she'll be better off there. Alright y'all, that'll do it for this one. Thank you all for watching. Again, I hope to have some more videos coming out soon. I apologize, it's been a while. I'm working on a build right now. It should be out pretty soon. All about the armor skills, so expect that pretty soon. But before I go, I want to ask you all for a little help. Currently, I'm trying to round out my arena team, my 3-man arena core, and I need a little help picking a red unit. I mentioned this a bit before. So I currently have Sheena at +10, and I have Naui at +7. I'm sitting at around 120,000 feathers. So the 3 red units I'm trying to choose between are Erica, Sheeta, and Lelina. So I'll put a poll up in the corner so y'all can kind of vote on it. I have all 3 of them at +1 right now, and I have copies enough to get to +7 for Lelina and Sheeta, and I have enough for +10 for Erica. But obviously, like I said, I don't have the feathers there quite yet. So between the 3 of them, Erica's new weapon is super cool, and it would be good to have the buff help. I do run a few buffs between Naui and Sheena sometimes. But honestly, she doesn't have a whole lot of offensive presence, which is something I kind of need since Sheena and Naui are just, enemy phase and they can't really engage and do a lot of damage. Shido also is cool. She has her new wing sword. It would be good to have her using guidance and helping those 2 get around. But like Erica, her offensive capabilities are a little limited. Like I said, she can engage. As a flyer, it's a little easier, but I don't know. I'm still not too sure. And Lelina, of course, she would be really good at engaging, and she has a lot of range power. And honestly, my 2 main issues in Arena are usually axes and red mages between Sheena and Naui. Those 2 tend to give them the most trouble. And Lelina could offer support with ploys too, since her res is pretty good. But overall, since she is a ranged unit, her Arena score would be kind of low. So, although right now, honestly, I can stay in tier 20 okay, even just running Sheena, Naui, and the bonus unit and another kind of highly merged unit, flexing in and out. So anyway, any help, any advice y'all can give me there, I'd love to have. I want to start building one of them up, but I just can't really decide. So they're all 3 characters that I really like, so that's, that makes it even harder. So anyway, again, thank you guys for watching and for helping me out. I hope you enjoyed. I hope maybe you learned a little something, but most importantly, I hope I see you in the next video. Bye guys.